Joined with IUP head coach Paul Tortorella, quarterback Max Sexton, linebacker Drew D'Annunzio-Biss. Gentlemen, congratulations on a tremendous season. Coach, we'll have you start us off with an opening statement and then turn it over for questions.
Okay, thanks. Obviously disappointing finish for us. The game got away from us. You got to give Shepherd credit. They played a great game. They outplayed us. They outcoached us. It's the same team 3 weeks ago that we beat, obviously. We just got behind and things started to snowball on us. I knew after the first quarter, I knew how bad the wind was. And I knew after the first quarter when we were only up 7-7 and we gave up a busted coverage for a touchdown there, and I knew I realized the wind was going to be a factor. And when we got out of the first quarter and the score was 7-7, I was concerned. We got outscored by 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, and I think they were a 44-yard drive and a 55-yard drive, because when we got stopped and we couldn't punt the ball into the wind. Short fields against their offense and against their quarterback make it tough. But, at half we were down 21-7, and really, 2 short fields and a busted coverage. I mean, that one hurt because I think that took the momentum. We had them stopped. We were up 7-0. We had the wind, and we blew a coverage on third down that led to a big play and a touchdown, which we didn't do the first time we played them. I think they only had 2 passes over 20 yards the first time we played them, and obviously they hit a 71-yard touchdown pass against us on third down on a blown coverage. So, but still at halftime, this team's been behind before, not a lot. We have not, that's the one thing, we have not been behind. We led the whole game the last time we played them. I think we were behind Ashland maybe 2 minutes in our first playoff game. We have not been behind a whole lot all year. So, but I thought we could get it going. I think Shepherd and Ernie did a good job taking the wind in the third quarter. They had the momentum. We were wondering whether it would wait till the fourth quarter, and I think they did a good decision to take the wind in the third quarter. That's what I would have done, because they had all the momentum. And then we ran into the same problem. First play of the second half, we fumble, and they get it, and they score on a 30-yard drive. The next series, we hit a play. Every time we made a play, we had a penalty. It was 28-7. We hit a seam rod. I thought it was helmet to helmet, but they said it wasn't. I looked up the scoreboard, you couldn't tell. But anyway, we got called for hands to the face. So instead of having the ball 1st and 10 on their 30, we end up, 3rd and 25 on our own 40. And we botched the snap, which hadn't happened all year. Wind may have had a factor in it, and we dropped it. And then they go and they take a 21-yard drive. So second half, it's 21-7. And they get a 30-yard drive for a touchdown and a 21-yard drive for a touchdown, and make it 35-7. And then, we just couldn't get out. We just couldn't get out. We couldn't do anything going into the wind. We couldn't sustain any drives. And the problem is, getting stopped is one thing, but then the field position when you punt. I don't know. I think we punted the ball 3 times into the wind for like 32 yards. So, the wind was really bad, and we knew that. And then you get behind, and then, you're playing uphill the rest of the game. But, proud of our team. We got a lot of really good players. Again, this is the same team that beat Shepherd 3 weeks ago. We didn't, not have guys play. We had Dwayne back. We didn't have Stewart running back. But, and they had some guys hurt that didn't play. So, they deserve the credit. They played well. They deserve to move on. But this team won a PSAC championship, won 10 games, had a lot of injuries. First 4 weeks of the season, we lost 2 of our top 5 players for the season, and our guys stepped up. It was next man up, showed a lot of resiliency. Just didn't play very well today, didn't coach very well, and Shepherd deserves the credit.
Matt, for you, one thing the team's been successful at is, scoring on the opening drive, 4 straight games, an opening drive touchdown. You just talked about the team's ability to be able to go out and do that right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to get off to a hot start and be able to drive down the field and get points up on the board. And you know, I was happy that we were able to do that today, but it just didn't translate to the rest of the game. So yeah, it was nice in the moment, but.
3 weeks ago, you were able to run on that pretty well.
Right.
Really good game today, not so much.
Yeah, I was surprised. You know, we didn't run the ball very well. You know, and you know, we only had Stewart for 1 quarter last game, and we ran it pretty good in the first quarter of the last game. So a lot of those yards were earlier in the game. But yeah, we didn't. They stuffed it. They did a great job. You know, and the thing is, when you go into the wind, it's tough to move the ball, and they load up to stop the run. You know, because it's hard throwing the ball into the wind. I mean, that was some serious wind. And I don't know, I think probably 40 or 35 or 48 points came with the wind at their back. So it wasn't like, it's for both teams. We just didn't do a very good job. We played the first quarter with the wind, and it's 7-7 at the end of the first quarter, and then we don't have the wind until the fourth quarter. And by that time, you know, I think they outscored us 35-0 in the second and third quarter. When they had the wind, they took advantage of it. We didn't, and a big part of it was they got their run game going, which they didn't do the first time, and we just couldn't get the run game going.
Mac, what was that like? The difference between when you had the wind and when you didn't?
It definitely made a difference. I mean, just throwing it down the field into the wind, you really have no idea where it's going to end up once it gets 20, 30 yards downfield, whereas with the wind, you kind of have a good feeling of what the wind's going to do to the ball. So we didn't make the most out of when we had the wind, and you know, didn't do very much when we didn't have the wind. So it is what it is. We got to get better.
Joe, for you, I mean, going off the running game, I mean, last time out, you guys were able to, keep running Brown to, a certain amount, but today, he rushes for more than 200 yards. What was the difference?
I mean, coming into the game, we knew they were going to put an emphasis on the run game because the past 2 games he's had 200 yards. I mean, they were just able to scheme us up pretty well. It seemed like, he's a good back. I mean, there's nothing else really to say about him. He was able to make guys miss in the open field. He was able to hit the hole hard. There were times when we had him in the backfield and he was somehow able to evade us. So, I mean, hats off to them and their offensive line. I think they did a great job today.
When their first touchdown, the long one, when you guys had him in the backfield and he got away, what's it do for a defense when you get so close to him and you can't get him down and he makes it?
Yeah, definitely it upsets us for sure. But, I mean, we tried to, everyone on the field just trying to move on to the next play. Everyone's trying to pick each other up because, I mean, that could be a big play for us, and then they reverse it just as quickly. So, I mean, it sucks when you don't get that big play, especially against their offense. You can't give them second chances. And unfortunately today we were giving them second chances, and they were able to take advantage of it.
Mac, after that first drive you guys had, it seems like you guys kind of struggled to sustain offensively that long drive. Was that lack of execution for you guys? Was it some other defense or something?
Yeah, definitely just lack of execution. I thought we were able to run the ball well on that first drive, and then, second, third quarter, we were kind of getting behind the sticks on first and second down, and when you're consistently in a third and long or third and medium, they kind of have the chalk on you, and it's hard to get first downs, third and medium, third and long.
Coach, you already mentioned it a little bit, but just some of the turnovers and the botched punt, snap on the punt.
Right.
Can you just talk a little bit more on? It just seemed like you guys couldn't get out of your own way.
Yeah, I mean, first play of the second half, we fumble, and that's obviously a sudden change situation against a good offense when they get the ball on the 20, 30-yard line. You're in trouble. And then the next series, we watch the snap, and they get the ball on the 21-yard line, and you're going against a great offense now. It's not like you're going out there. It's, the first game, we made them drive the field. You know, we had great field position. They didn't have many drives that started on our side. They started the first game they scored when they ran back a kickoff, they had a 36-yard drive in the first game. Other than that, they never had the ball in the first game past the 50 to start, really past our own 35. We won the field position. But when you don't run the ball well, and you're giving up, we gave up 141 yards rushing, and we only had 39 yards rushing. So when you don't, and part of that, you know, is the punt, but when you don't run it well, and they run it well, and you turn the ball over and you have a bad play on the punt team, that stuff just adds up.
I have a question for Mac Andrew. What was the energy like on the field? Did it kind of feel like they had all the momentum? You want to take it first?
Yeah, I mean, when you have things like the drop punt and just consistently having third down conversions that are getting called back for, you know, hold or hand to the face or things like that. I mean, it just felt like anything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it definitely takes a toll on a team, and that's no excuse, but yeah, I would definitely say the energy was somewhat down, you know, in the second half.
Yeah, I agree completely. You know, we had chances to make plays on defense on third down. We had chances to sack the quarterback, and we weren't able to do it. And they took advantage of the second chances, and they were able to capitalize on it. So there's definitely a big shift in momentum and energy. And we spent the rest of the game trying to get it back, and unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Surprised that everything sort of went against you. You guys haven't had a game like this all year.
Right.
Sometimes you make mistakes that should be fixed. Today it just all snowballed, like I said, right?
Yeah.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think when you look at, we had 3 turnovers and then the punt mishap. So really we had 4 turnovers and they didn't have any. And like the chances of beating a team like that when you're -4 in turnover ratio are like slim and none. So, and then you take some chances when you get behind and try to do some things that you probably normally wouldn't do. You know, and like I said, I really don't know how much time we've spent being behind all year, to be honest with you. We weren't behind a whole lot most of the year. So, you know, that in itself, you're fighting an uphill battle because you're behind and you're playing a really good team. And then you start turning the ball over and giving them short fields, and then it's a 7-point lead, and then it's a 14-point lead, and then in the third quarter, 7 minutes in, they score 2 touchdowns, and now it's a 4-touchdown lead. You know, so you look at it, and they ran it better. We didn't run it good, and it was 4-0 in turnovers. I mean, that's a recipe for a disaster. And hey, that's, you know, to their credit. They played a clean game. They didn't have any turnovers. They forced a couple turnovers. First run of the second half, they knocked it out of our running back's hand. I mean, it's a good hit. So, you know, there's reasons. It's not just us not playing well. They played well, you know, and they're a good team. So when that happens and you're playing a good team that's playing good, you can't give them 4 possessions and lose 4 possessions on your own. And that's really like I said, it's hard to overcome.
Just a general question about your seniors. These kids have been through a lot, like the COVID year.
Right.
These kids have been through a lot, they've accomplished a lot.
Right.
This is not really the ending.
No, but like I told them, this game shouldn't define them. You know, they've won a lot of games. Won the PSAC. Been great ambassadors for the university. You know, half of them are in grad school. Great kids. You know, I couldn't ask for a better senior class that had a lot of success, that did things the right way. And that, in the locker room there, that's what, you know, the other players are going to, you know, live to play another day. Coaches are going to live to coach another day. Those seniors, they had to end their career on that game, which is probably, you know, a bitter pill to swallow, but, you know, I don't know how many games they've won, but it's been a lot. And I know they haven't lost many. So you know, I'm proud of them. I just wish it could have ended better. I mean, when you get in this tournament, there's only one team that doesn't lose their last game. You know, we've been in the playoffs so much that you end up losing your last game unless you win a national championship. And, you know, last year we didn't even get in the playoffs. We won our last 2 games, but we weren't in the playoffs. So when you get into the playoffs, you're either going to win it all or you're going to lose your last game. And that's just the fact of the matter.